Welcome back to Hierapolis. This is part 2 of my first day here at Hierapolis. I'm gonna start right here. That is the latrine. I won't be using it. I will, however, be photographing it. It's a really cool structure. I like the columns, of course, the rows of columns, the wall behind it, and then there's even trees behind that. We have this significant layering that's happening here. I am also able to come across over this way, and I can get myself somewhat elevated as I shoot, and doing so will allow me to shoot a little more straight across, but also get some of this road in the frame as well. I think this is going to be a really good subject because I'm going to be able to shoot straight on. I also love to include some angles so I can really increase the dynamic tension. There's something about the straight on, it just makes it feel nice and sturdy and stable. And when you have something ancient like this with all this wonderful texture, that stability really helps. To me, it really helps that texture just really come through, because you're very much interested in what that texture is then, because there's nothing for you to get distracted by. You're just able to really focus in and really enjoy what the nature of what that texture is. I also envision, haven't obviously processed any images yet, I'm just talking here. I also envision converting some of these to black and white. We do have a great color. This beige color I think is amazing, and then we get some of this more lighter tone color. But when you have this more beige color and the lighter tone, there's some really cool effects that are going to happen here. And then of course some of these darker tones, like in here. The color is, I think, going to be important, but there's going to be some frames though. There's going to be some shots where I'm just going to say I want to rip that color out, and I want us to just concentrate the eye right there on that texture, on those forms and those shapes. And that is going to be aided, that's going to be accentuated by the removal of color. All right, let's get to shooting and see what we come up with. And it's back to the historic ruins of things. Travertines look great, but the tourists largely left. They're in and out, so I just felt the pull to come back here. So I got this awesome panorama. I think it's awesome anyway. I have yet to obviously process it. But starting, I forget what those first two arches are, but then the three-arched gate, that's the northern gate, to the Frontinus Street area. And then we have the latrine and the agora behind it. It's hard to really tell, you just have to know that the agora is there. It's flanked by the trees in the background, and then just brought it all the way across this way. Did not get all the way to this next gate here, this southern gate. It stopped just shy of that. It's a challenge to get a panel like this, because with the clouds just going through in and out, I want, as best as possible, consistent lighting for the panel. And so it takes about a minute or so to get that. And if I'm waiting for someone to get out of the way or just whatever, I might have changing light, and I have to change my plan based on my exposure, etc., on the fly. And so it can, that's why basically I chose to end here, just like with the lighting. That's just not interesting, that gate. If I had a little more dimensional lighting on it, then I probably would have changed my mind. But we've got this bunch of boulders, what feels like a bunch of boulders just kind of strewn about in front of it, and so whatever, it is what it is. Just want to talk about the very considerable, I guess I can say considerable, thought that goes into a composition like this. As I'm looking at the frame here, first off, way at the tail end of the image, we have those 3 archways. And through there, however, is where that crane is operating. So I had to position myself so that the crane was hidden by the upright in that archway. Then I have over here, there's 3 columns. I'll kind of point an arrow to it or something like that. There's 3 columns going up, and they have a thing crossing the 3 of them. And there's a capital off in the distance behind it. I wanted that perfectly right in the middle. Then over here on this side, let's see, it is the second one in from the right hand side. There's a column. So you see the second column, but behind it there's another column that's completely hidden, or at least mostly hidden by that column. I probably need to finesse it just a little bit more to get that fully hidden, because I don't want that to be a visual distraction. It's an awesome column, but it's a visual distraction. And then we have the extra column and another capital on in the background there, and then it ends in this kind of sort of partial column here. So when I'm setting a shot like this up, I want to pay attention to these types of details, because if I can eliminate distractions for you, the viewer, then I've done my job. Because my point is, I'm trying to communicate something with this, and that is, it's a really cool place. This is such an amazing place. And then why would I cause distractions, or why would I allow something to come into the scene, come into the composition, that would detract from it being such a cool place? So that's why I take such care in making a composition like this. It is something that it becomes second nature for sure. As you get more and more practice doing this, it just becomes second nature for you, and you just start to see these things immediately, and you can fine tune fairly quickly. So I'll do what I can to be patient and wait for these fine folks to move on. And then I'm going to be able to get the shot that I want, because not only am I patient, but I've paid attention and I've really dialed in as many things as I can see on this small screen anyway. I've real dialed in the thought process on making the decisions for what I do when I make a composition like this. Well, I finally made it to the theater. It's a bit of a climb up the hill, but this is a really cool place. This theater is, and it's the kind of thing I would love to see a production here, of course. That would be so cool. We've got a pit down at the bottom. I would assume that's where either significant sporting activity or maybe the orchestra might be in something for today. And then of course there's a main stage there. Just a really cool place. And so I'm going to get a few photographs, but this is probably as good a place as any to end it. So no travertines for me today. Thank you so much for joining and taking a look at Hierapolis with me. Until next time, God bless and happy shooting!